Ma'am, I think it was my mom's dream, in fact, for me to see her, like it was her dream to see me as a civil servant.
Okay.
So she, like the one thing after I went home, she told me is you actually made me win. Ma'am, I must actually owe a lot of my value addition content to Karandeep sir only. He
Okay.
has I referred to few of his foundation course notes also from a friend of mine. So his value addition from test series and foundation course notes actually helped me make the make my notes complete, holistic in a manner. One major differentiator I see in my third attempt is that I've attempted the questions in a more aggressive manner. In my first two ones, I used to be a little play on the back foot and attempt only 70 to 75 questions or maximum 78 to 80. But this time I ended up attempting around 92 questions overall. And with sir, it has been a very, I really admire him a lot for the kind of objective discussions he makes, and his videos and all actually created a lot of interest in anthropology for me. Otherwise, it was very mechanical for me. And then because I come from an engineering background and coming into humanities, I didn't really show. I used to read anthropology for the sake of the exam, but he kind of actually nudged. There is certain points where he talks about in such an interesting manner. It's clear, oh my god, this subject has so much to tell. This subject has so much to actually offer.
The future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams. And today we have someone who actually dreamt of becoming an officer. Today we are very pleased to have All India Rank 112 G. Sahi Darshani with us. So she will be sharing her strategy and experience, and we would want to ask her few questions regarding that. So, welcome G. Sahi Darshani. Hi Sahi, congratulations for your success in this UPSC examination. I really congratulate you from the behalf of Level Up IAS as well.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Your full name is G. Sahi Darshani, right? So, yes. Can I call you Sahi?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So, Sahi, how does it feel like after you got to know about the results? How did it feel? When you got to know that you've got this rank and you have your name in this PDF, how did it feel?
In fact, I was not the first one who actually saw the result.
Okay.
And then somebody just called me up and then they told me 112. I was like, what 112? And then I said, okay, that's your result. Okay. Then I actually checked the PDF and then I saw it. I was pretty normal. It somehow didn't sink in at that moment. And then I was in a temple when I went to pray, and then I suddenly saw the result, and then I came back. I was preparing for my forest interview at that point of time, so I was not really focusing on the result. It's coming today, it's coming then, and all. Then as soon as I came home, then I got a call. I spoke to my parents, obviously, and then looking at them being so happy, that is when I started getting some sort of satisfaction. Okay, fine, I'm finally seeing them happy. They're
so what was the best thing that you think that they've said to you, or the one tagline that they gave to you after they got to know about the results?
Ma'am, I think it was my mom's dream, in fact, for me to see her, it was her dream to see me as a civil servant.
Okay.
So she, the one thing after I went home, she told me is you actually made me win, Sahi.
Nice.
So that was, I think, that thing was the one which I wanted to hear. And then my father told me, what else would we want in life? We are very happy or something. So looking at them being happy was the most notable moment in this result.
Lovely. I'm sure they're very proud of you, just like we are today. So Sahi, talking about the preparation in general, how did it begin? How did you think about UPSC? Was it there in your mind from your college days or from your school days? So how did the thought of becoming a civil servant came?
As I've already told you, ma'am, my mother is an advocate. So she always had some interaction with government servants and all. So that's how she had this thing in her mind. And then she used to tell me different things about civil servants and all. But then she never forced me into it. I had a natural progression of after I did my graduation in civil engineering from IIT Patna. And then after that, while I was working in that, while I was studying, I did many internships in different fields, and then transportation engineering related internships, many research internships actually. So then there was a point in time where I had to actually decide between research and then between civil services. Then my mother said only one thing: I'm sure you'll do really good in both the fields, but I want you to decide based on in which field you will be able to create more impact with the kind of knowledge you might be having. So then I actually pondered pondered upon the same sentence for almost a month or two. And then I realized I might just be an academician while I might be working with the US universities or anywhere where I had offers for.
Yeah.
But here, I think with the current state of our technology, there is more to implement in India rather than actually new things coming up.
Yes.
So that actually brought me into it. But then immediately after it also, I didn't want to like dedicatedly prepare only for civil services. I wanted a better experience, to be a better experienced candidate. I then worked in Hindustan Petroleum after I took the campus placement. But then somehow it didn't go well because it was a very demanding job and all. And then I dedicatedly started
preparing. So it was so thoughtful of you and your mother, I would say. So when you started preparing for it, like since we know that prelims is approaching now, so what would you want to say to those aspirants who are going to appear in this year? And because we know that the paper is getting more analytical every year, and how did you approach the paper? Because what was going in your mind when you were preparing for the prelims?
Ma'am, actually, this was my third attempt. And in the first two attempts, while I was working only, I couldn't clear prelims. I think one major differentiator I see in my third attempt is that I have attempted the questions in a more aggressive manner. In my first two ones, I used to be a little play on the back foot and attempt only 70 to 75 questions or maximum 78 to 80. But this time, I ended up attempting around 92 questions overall.
आपने ज़्यादा questions attempt किए.
But that was not just like just because I wanted to attempt, I didn't attempt them. In all this test series which I've done, mock tests which I've done before it, I used to evaluate where my guesses are actually working, like either in art and culture or in environment or S&T. Where are they actually working? I had a spreadsheet for it. Every test I used to evaluate very properly. Even if I wrote very less tests, I used to evaluate all of them. And in which kind of questions am I doing well? Is my guessing doing right and all that? So based on that, in the final exam, I didn't guess any of the history questions. I tried to guess S&T, environment, these kind of questions. So I tried to just minimize any kind of negative risk which I might get from it. And then that is how I kind of planned the way I give the exam. Sources didn't really change, that's it. But the way I gave the exam was a little different.
So would you like to tell some of your sources for prelims, as everybody would want to know?
It was mostly standard sources, ma'am. For art and culture, part of Nitin Singhania, only in parts, not complete. And then I used Mandar Patki sir's, one of the toppers' notes. He had a few prelims notes and all. And then the same thing for ancient history and medieval history and modern history as well. Modern history spectrum. And ancient history and art and culture, like both between, I took the NCERT, class 11 NCERT, arts NCERT. And then for medieval, the new NCERT, a part, only the medieval part of the new NCERT, so only for the terms and all which used to come. And then environment, it was PMFI's booklet. And then science and technology, mostly from the current affairs magazines. Economy was from Ronald sir's notes.
Okay.
And polity, Lakshmikant.
So talking about CSAT, which is another important part nowadays, with each year we see that CSAT is also getting tougher and students are not able, and there are students who could clear GS but could not clear the CSAT. So what would you want to say to them? Like how did you go for CSAT?
Ma'am, actually CSAT, I tried to first solve the previous paper first, and then I was quite comfortable in solving it. Okay. So I didn't try to overdo CSAT. But what I definitely did is, like, in each and every, like, there is a section of topics which I'm mostly repeating. I used to just take that up and then write down its formulas. Okay. Like, because like for faster solving of those problems, I just used to write certain tricks or formulas, and then I had a small 3-4 pages of sheet which had those formulas, and just before the exam, between prelims and CSAT, I used to take a look at it. Okay. And comprehension, that is because since I've already done a few papers, it came naturally to me. Yeah. It didn't be a major hurdle. That's why
Right. Now we know that marks are also out. So prelims mein GS, how much did you score?
Actually, my mark sheet is not out because I cleared forest cutoff also.
Okay.
And the sheet is after forest results. Okay. We get that.
So now, Sahi, we talk about the mains preparation specifically. So how did you cope up with GS 1, 2, 3, 4 along with essay and optional? So if we start with GS preparation, so how could you please share your strategy about GS?
GS preparation was very targeted. based on the topic wise preparation, as we all do. So I used to pick up syllabus topics and then clearly understand. I mostly made online notes. So I used to have Evernote notebooks separately, and for every subtopic I used to have a note, and then in that note I used to collect from wherever I'm reading, or wherever I read, whatever I read, I never put multiple places where I have to revise it from. I always used to dump it in one single note of mine, no matter how bulky it used to get, but I used to ensure that I'm putting it in one note only. I did not want multiple sources where I have to go and read again and again. So there I used to work on the major structure, ma'am, like introduction, conclusion, certain quotes, certain examples, some data on it, and then issues, some committee recommendations. Like I ensured to like find for value addition content. Even if I'm not having time, I ensured, like, because the basic structure, I would definitely write something or the other. So since for the differentiator points, I actually aggressively searched for it. And with ChatGPT and all, it actually made my work a little more simpler. So I definitely used Bard, ChatGPT a lot in my preparation.
Right. And answer writing, how often was it in your timetable, answer writing?
Ma'am, actually, answer writing, I did mostly PYQ based answer writing rather than doing some other questions or current affairs based answer writing. So as soon as I finished, like before actually starting to prepare a note on a topic, I used to refer to the PYQs, collect all the content. And then after it, immediately I used to look at the questions. Am I able to answer all the questions or not? So that is what I mostly did. I didn't do much of answer writing on paper, but I used to brainstorm in my mind thinking, this is the structure, these are the points I might put for this question. Roughly, this is the introduction I'll put, this is the conclusion I'll put. And that is how I...
So basically you had the content in your mind and then you were doing the practice like that. Okay, it's a quite smart way of doing the answer writing.
That actually, because I had less time. That is otherwise I would have gone by the conventional way, definitely. But because I had less time, I had to save it somewhere. And I understood what my strength and weakness is. I realized that if I had content, I will write it. Like that went naturally for me. So realizing this, I adopted that approach. Otherwise, I would have definitely done proper conventional answer writing.
How much did you score in optional?
Optional and 272.
Okay. So, Sahi, if we talk about optional in particular, because we know that optional plays an important role in your marks, in improving your marks, and it is impossible to score good without doing good in optional, I think. So, how did you do? What was your strategy for optional?
Ma'am, again the same like GS. I consolidated all my notes, topic-wise notes. It was again online only. I used to give every topic, and then I used to have all the PYQ questions there before it. I used to segregate them theme-wise again. Based on that theme, again I used to write the content of it, and then gather value addition. And then again, same, if I'm able to answer those questions or not. Like I took the questions from almost 60s and all. I had an app, Anthro Questions app, which had all the questions listed topic-wise. So I used to use that, make notes, and then try to replicate.
And then how did the test series of anthropology help you?
I must actually owe a lot of my value addition content to Karandeep sir only. He has I referred to few of his foundation course notes also from a friend of mine. So his value addition from test series and foundation course notes actually helped me make make my notes complete, holistic in a manner. They gave me a closure. I always used to look for some good content, some differentiating content and all that. So with his notes, I really didn't have to put much time into that differentiating content separately. It was already there. So I almost got what I needed. I used to have 4 to 5 scholars in one topic. So that was what I was aiming for, because I need to code them. And then conclusion. And somehow, because it was only nearer to the exam that I found his guidance. So it was during the test series and all. So I couldn't replicate all the content which I actually had. I think I was talking to sir also. Had it been a more organic nature and I had been a part of his foundation course probably, then it could have come as a natural way to me, and then I didn't have I had issues with replicating it because I couldn't remember all of it and all. So otherwise, I think I would have more naturally replicated it, is what I felt.
I'm sure in your next attempt, if you will give, so you will be able to do that, I would say. Okay, so how Level Up IAS has helped you overall in your preparation? What would you say about Level Up IAS? How was your experience here?
Ma'am, my experience was like pretty smooth with respect to first the admin staff. Whenever for the test series and all, even for if I have to call them up, it was very smooth. They used to reply immediately. And then with sir, it has been a very, like, I really admire him a lot for the kind of objective discussions he makes, and like like his videos and all actually created a lot of interest in anthropology for me. Otherwise, it was very mechanical for me. And then because I come from an engineering background and coming into humanities, I didn't really show. I used to read anthropology for the sake of the exam, but he kind of actually nudged. Like there are certain points where he talks about in such an interesting manner. It's clear, oh my god, this subject has so much to tell. This subject has so much to actually offer.
What is your most favorite part in anthropology? Which section was it?
I think it's the theories part, like
it was more interesting.
Yeah, they were more interesting. And the second most interesting is the tribal anthropology part.
So, yeah, because in that you get a chance to add more value and to add more examples also in it, right? Okay. So I really congratulate you again, and thank you so much for this very insightful session you gave. I think it will be very helpful for those who will be watching this session of ours, so that they can also get few tips and tricks so that in the secondary examination.
Thank you so much.
I congratulate you again.
Thanks a lot.